Weird rules retired presidents follow. When you leave what might be the most high-profile job in the world, your retirement will be anything but ordinary. Former US presidents have taken many different paths upon wrapping up their time in office. Still, there are specific rules, practices and procedures in place all the recent ex-commanders-in-chief have followed upon their exit. As you can imagine, it's not quite as simple as going back to an average life. Here are some fascinating facts about what former presidents aren't allowed to do, and some of the perks that go along with that particular retirement plan. The job also stays with them in other ways too, because once someone stops being a president, they're part of an elite club of ex-presidents for the rest of their life, and that also comes with a lot of restrictions. Yeah, just because you were the commander-in-chief, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. From driving cars to using cell phones, these are the rules that former presidents have to follow. Before Congress passed the Former Presidents Act in 1958, America's ex-presidents were mostly on their own when they got out of office. George Washington enjoyed a lucrative career distilling whiskey at his Mount Vernon estate. William Howard Taft was appointed to the Supreme Court. Theodore Roosevelt turned to non-fiction writing, just to name a few. But it wasn't always smooth sailing for the nation's most powerful politicians after they left the White House. Harry Truman was nearly broke after leaving office, living on his modest military pension from his service during World War I, partly due to his desire not to commercialize his former office by cashing in on the many job offers he was given. The Former Presidents Act was passed partly as a result of Truman's financial struggles, the no-drive rule. Probably the most frustrating rule former presidents must follow is staying away from public roads. This rule became public when George Bush revealed to Jay Leno in an interview that he had not driven on a public road in more than 25 years. Lyndon Johnson was the last president to drive on a public road. John F. Kennedy's assassination was a turning point in working out this security measure. Still, former presidents often enjoy driving in secluded and private areas. For example, Ronald Reagan is famous for driving his favorite Jeep in his remote ranch area. Permanent Secret Service protection. Even if someone isn't president anymore, they can still be a high-profile target for attackers. One of the most important perks provided by the Former Presidents Act is lifelong protection by the Secret Service. In addition to covering the ex-president and their spouse, the protective detail also extends to their children until age 16. This perk is available completely at the discretion of the former presidents themselves, as Nixon dismissed his Secret Service protection about 11 years after he left office, staying up to date with national security briefings. Even though they're no longer presidents, it's a tradition to consider former presidents as sources of wisdom and useful political advice. Because of this, former presidents receive national security briefings to stay up to date with current security issues. If needed, the president's office will ask for their advice, or they can reach out to the sitting president and offer one, establishing a presidential library. Establishing a presidential library is encouraged by the Presidential Libraries Act, passed in 1955. Because their actions and work in the office are considered a public service, former presidents can establish a library of presidential papers, documents, and any other written material considered important for the nation's history. Libraries are usually open to the public, and the official opening ceremony can serve the purpose of a public relations event for the former president. Some of the former presidents choose to be buried on the premises, not having health benefits unless they qualify. The presidency is still a job, and the president is a government employee. This means that former presidents have the right to keep their government health benefits. Yet, as is the case for other federal employees, there is a requirement. They have to be registered as federal employees for at least 5 years to qualify for benefits. In case they served only one term and did not hold another national position, former presidents will not be eligible for official health benefits, staying at the presidential townhouse. When visiting Washington, D.C., former presidents are not obliged to stay at the presidential townhouse. Still, they are often encouraged to do so because the house already has security protocols worked out. In fact, the basement of the house is designed especially for security detail. The presidential townhouse is only a minute's walk away from the White House. It was Richard Nixon who had it built to provide a stay for former presidents. George Bush used it most often, even though his wife Barbara did not like the house at all because of its Spartan interior design. The house was extensively renovated when his son, George H. Bush, was president. Everyone can read your old communications. This pesky rule is part of the Presidential Records Act of 1978 and passed in the Watergate scandal. Every piece of official communication that comes from the president during their time in office must be kept, archived, and made available to the public 5 years after their administration ends. Since 2014, this law has included all electronic communications related to official business. That's why private email accounts are a big no-no for presidents when discussing business. Don't run for president again. Given how difficult the job is, it's unlikely that any former president would want to run for office again. But there's a constitutional amendment against this in case they did. After then President Franklin Roosevelt won the election in 1940 for an unprecedented third term in office, followed by his win for a fourth term in 1944, the 22nd Amendment was ratified to keep any president from serving more than 2 times. This rule obviously doesn't apply to presidents who serve only 1 term, meaning Donald Trump could run again in 2024 if he wishes. Don't go phone shopping. Unlike sitting presidents, former presidents don't have to worry about every phone conversation they have recorded for public consumption. But they still have to follow some communications rules. The Secret Service has to approve all electronic communications devices used by presidents and former presidents, including their phones. So if a former commander-in-chief wants the newest iPhone, they have to run it by their security personnel first. Keep a staff, but keep it small. While former presidents are allotted some money for a staff every year, they'd better keep that team small unless they want to pay them out of pocket. When they're in office, presidents are used to having a staff of around 400 people and a budget of around 40 million to pay them all. When they leave office, they're only given around 100 grand from taxpayers to fund their staff. When Britain's Prince Harry interviewed Barack Obama on the BBC in 2018, he said the camaraderie of his White House team was something he missed about the job. Don't share state secrets. Ex-presidents represent a potentially dangerous challenge for American intelligence services. By the nature of the job, they have a wealth of valuable information in their heads, making them a target for opposing governments to exploit or attempt to pay off in return for what they know. When a president is in office, they can declassify and share any government information they wish, without penalty. However, when they become an ex-president, it is illegal to share classified information that they didn't declassify while in office. Stay mum on your successors. While not an official rule, this is one of those time-honored traditions that most former presidents have followed. Not openly criticizing your successors in office or keeping your public opinions measured has long been regarded as an act of etiquette among former commanders-in-chief. However, plenty of former presidents have openly ripped a subsequent president over the years, mostly on policy matters. Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and Theodore Roosevelt all took shots at later presidents on the record. Here are some weird rules that former presidents have to follow after their tenure. They're not allowed to drive on roads. They can't even go shopping alone. That's pretty awkward, right? Well, let us know your opinion on these rules in the comment sections down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave us a like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. We'll see you on the next video. Bye!